Grow, Sell, and Retire is the podcast for the lazy overachiever. B.D. Dalton, author of True Gravity and Grow, Sell, and Retire, is here to give you his 25 years of secrets, tips, and systems to take your business to the next level. This is your chance to find out what is working in sales, marketing, and running your business. If you stop learning, you stop burning. Now, here's your host, BD, with today's GSR podcast.
Hey, Grow, Sell, and Retire listeners, BD Dalton here, trying to make you lazy overachievers. Here is my interview with Berith Sandgren-Clarke about what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear. Guess what? We're talking about eco-friendly clothing and going to be talking about the 41 items you need in your wardrobe to make it complete. Well, we're here on the Grow, Sell, and Retire podcast with Berith. And Berith, people think about this and people worry about fashion, and we have Raoul Paul and all these different people talking to us about what to wear and what not to wear. Does the clothes make the man?
Does the clothes make the man or the woman? Yeah, in some ways, yes. It all depends on, because if we are not sure of who we are, we might be trying to wear something just because everybody else is wearing something. And in that case, it is making us the person that we're kind of copying someone. So in some ways, yes, it makes us who we are. But if we truly know who we are, what we want and the vision that we have in our lives and who we wish to reach, and we dress accordingly to our values and our beliefs and our mission, I truly believe that our clothes is a true reflection of who we are if we do it correctly. But perhaps not all of us do that. It takes skill.
Most people are wearing, a lot of people, because I'm in financial services industry and law, so do we dress in a costume? Do you think is it more of we dress the part instead of dressing the person?
Very much so. I think bigger corporations as well, with their values, probably have a particular brand set up already, or they should have. And therefore, what we wear, or what is required us to wear, it's probably reflecting their values more than our own. But that is just how it is, and we're going to have to accept that. So that doesn't stop us for maybe experimenting a little bit outside of our work hours.
Yeah. So if we're looking at this and we're talking about things that either can accentuate or kind of represent you, what would be an example of somebody that dresses their values, or dresses how they believe that they are and how they think that they should come across, instead of how they believe that their clients will take them?
Okay, so here we go. I see clothes as an extension of who we are, and that's not just what we feel like, but actually it's the way that we move.
Okay.
And depending on how we move and our posture, so taking a woman's body and a man's body, the difference between us is the fact that women, on the whole, have more lumps and bumps.
Yes.
Which makes clothes, and particularly fabrics, behave differently as we move. So if the fabric is really stiff and hasn't got any kind of movement, it will spring out and it will look kind of awkward. So if the body shape is more along the line of the fabrics, so say, for example, that stiff fabric as we're talking about, that could be a shirt fabric, for example.
Yes.
Which is slightly more dense and a bit more stiff and doesn't really follow the body as such. It sits there and it hangs and sticks out. If the body is more angular, that suits. So that shirt suits that body better than a woman's body, for example. So what I have found working with women who have to, and in their mind, think that they have to dress wearing a shirt, which is a very good item for a masculine body, but not necessarily for a female body, it becomes a little bit awkward.
So
are you with me?
Yeah, no, I've got it. So because it hangs where a man's is going to go straight down, where a woman's lumps and bumps.
Yeah, lumps and bumps plus
further away from their belts. So
yeah, it's really amazing to just see if we can just work on how fabrics behave on our body and the way that we sit or the way that we move, or depending on what we do in life. Actually, it will give us more confidence,
Yes.
Because the fabric is just extending us, really. Now, certain clothes, I'm not sure what it's like in the rest of the world as such, but I'm from Sweden. We don't have to wear school uniforms, but I now live in the UK, and wearing school uniforms, it's the norm.
Yeah,
and what I have noticed, and what I have noticed is that it's a shirt, and it's a pair of trousers, and maybe a blazer or a sweatshirt. And it doesn't necessarily work that well on every single body. In fact, it's probably, if they're lucky, if the school is lucky, 50% of the individuals will look okay in these clothes. But that's not what they're after. They just want to make sure that there is a brand, that they are recognized for being part of that school. And when they leave school, they go crazy. They experiment with every kind of item that they can think of. And it's quite funny. My hobby is to sit and watch people. I love people watching. Yes. And sitting at the cafe and watching what people are wearing, but more so how confident they are in the way that they move. So I can see as a school leaver, someone's just left education and going to the first, maybe even university where they have more freedom, or college when they have more freedom, or the first job. How they're trying to just find themselves, and it can be hilarious. And I love it. I love that kind of freedom, but it goes so wrong. in my view, it goes wrong because they have no guidance of how to protect themselves. So the skirts and girls might be too short, or the neckline might be too low, and then they're wondering why they are being approached inappropriately.
So that's how people. Yeah, it's the persona that people come across, but and it's also going, like you said, from one extreme to the other. Is we're going from completely covered up and this to completely open, and I'm gonna show off, but that doesn't always mean that that's what they're looking to, the attention they're looking to receive. It's just it's just different than they were doing before.
Totally, and they're also quite bewildered why this is happening, because they don't understand, because they're wanting to really experiment with finding themselves. And probably actually what I also notice is that there is so we have this popular culture. So we got all these famous people that they see in magazines, or they see them on trailers or anything. It's just music videos or such. We can talk about videos, but you know what I mean. Just shows my age, doesn't it? But that is what young people and anybody really is looking for inspiration from. And then we try it ourselves, and we don't understand why we're being attacked, or just not feeling as comfortable as it should be, as we had thought it would be, and just realizing actually it's not who we are. We're trying to be somebody else that we have watched, and we have built an understanding that it's okay because on that film clip, they have been okay, they have survived, but in real life it's not the same thing. So it's if it makes the man and woman that close that is, I think it does, because it starts us it helps us to think about whether it is acceptable or not, what we're trying to achieve, what we want to be remembered for in the way that we dress.
And so when we talk about dressing as your values, if we're saying that we're getting away from the uniform mentality, or trying to dress as you are and how you feel, how are there some examples of things where we've have we lost the tie? Is that safe across almost everywhere unless it's your first meeting? What are some do's and don'ts that you're seeing as people? And I know it's generic, but in general, of things that you're seeing that people are doing, like the low necklines, or are not doing, that they might actually help them if they actually did it.
Okay. I think first of all, depending on where we are working, we need to understand what the what the rules are.
Yes.
Taking away the tie, yes, that's becoming the norm. I think people's perception nowadays to see a man wearing a tight a tie, it's very restraining. So we might find that in the very professional, so there will be the higher executive, maybe on the financial side, where we want to feel that the person that we're working with is going to look after us. So that take away the tie, it becomes more friendly and more approachable, and that's okay. And I would say that predominantly the first person that we meet who's going to make us feel more comfortable will probably not be wearing a tie in the same way as used to 5 or 10 years ago.
Okay.
So that's acceptable nowadays. What's really important is being groomed more than anything. So we're looking at hands that are clean.
Yes, and nails.
Teeth that are even and white.
Mm-hmm.
Hair that is, okay, and beard obviously is still here as a fashion for a man. It is now acceptable and it's okay. But shoes. Okay, I'm going to go straight to shoes.
Yes, please.
Because when we meet someone for the first time, not only will we check out to see if that person is someone that we know,
Mm-hmm.
because there will be a resemblance there that we're looking for. Is that someone that makes us feel comfortable in? Does that person remind us of somebody who makes us feel good or bad? And is this a snap second thinking? We don't even, it's subconscious, it's just a survival instinct. And as soon as we've done that, we will actually check people's feet.
Mm-hmm.
This might sound strange, but we do. And it's a split second again, if that, to just see what's happening with the feet. So if the face looks familiar and friendly, we quickly will check to see whether those feet are actually just as friendly, clean, happy, approachable, whatever you want to say. So that could be the type of shoes that they're wearing, how clean they are, if they are bare feet, if they're clean feet. It's all kind of just getting that full picture of the person.
Mm-hmm.
And then we quickly zoom up again on the body just to check and see if the hands are clean and so on. And it's just, again, a survival instinct, because we are dealing here with how we feel about people and what that person looks like, and if they're congruent with their face and their feet and their hands and the rest in between, we feel that we can trust that person.
And you do that very rapidly, don't we? Because it's like you said.
It's like
survival instinct. It's tick, 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 and you've looked up and down the body already done.
It is done in a split second. We can't even think about it. It is a matter of do I take it any further?
And that's a funny thing, because I was reading just recently in an article, when you're talking about the feet, is if you're standing in a networking circle, or if you're standing in something, if somebody's feet are pointing away from you or sideways or not directly at you, then they're not paying attention to you. Even though they might be doing something else, they might make full eye contact, but where their toes were pointed in the article, they were suggesting that they are not engaged with the conversation and wanting to escape as fast as possible.
Oh, totally true. And that's also a bit of an indicator for ourselves, how we are presenting ourselves to others. So we can have our feet facing forward, and we are then being that we are engaging, and we can still kind of twist our shoulders a little bit, and we still are part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said in the article, I haven't read it, but it's very true, very, very true. As soon as the feet seem to be going somewhere else, you know that person doesn't really want to be with you.
And when you started, and we were going through that whole thing of the trust or the comfort. So, tie and that type of stuff is kind of a trust, and then no tie, and these are all generalizations, obviously, but we're moving towards a no tie, and a little bit less is more approachable. What are some things that people then notice are? Is it belts? Is it rings? Where do we go with other accessories and things like that may distract from what we actually are trying to get across?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's very much about personality more than anything, and where that person is actually working. I think go to belts, for example. If the trousers or pants or whatever you want to call it have got the belt loops.
Yes.
Those trousers need a belt.
Cool. Belt loops.
Okay.
Belt loops mean get a belt.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean that the trousers are going to be, the belt is going to be there to hold the trousers up. Okay, it's not about that. It's just the fact that it just looks more pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
It's something lacking if the loops are on their own. And when it comes to, it's all dependent on, you see, I love a man in a suit. I really do.
Yep.
I think there's just something so nice about it, and something that really, really makes my creative mind and my love for detail, I suppose, is when the pocket on the suit jacket, there is a little bit of color coming up. So they used to put like a little handkerchief or something inside the pocket.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, for me, that is so appealing, but it doesn't necessarily work on every single suit jacket.
No.
But when someone has done that, a little bit of detail are coming, or you can also see on a blazer, maybe the buttonhole is in a different color.
Yes.
It's the detailing more than anything. It's that tiny bit of difference that makes a personality to the norm.
And I think that brings it out, and it's what people do is and each of those little things you can be your trademark or your,
Yeah, it's exactly turning something that is totally and absolutely normal, or maybe expected of you, to make a little bit of a trademark. It works beautifully. And it can be socks, for example, on the man.
Yep.
There might be a different color. It could be shoelaces. It could be on women. It could be all kind of different things. Women have a little bit more clothes, I think, a little bit more variations going on. It's
scarves and pins and...
Yeah, exactly. It's to do with body shape more than anything, that we have to kind of make it work for us. But color of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're looking at scarves.
Yes.
In the winter, one thing that is wonderful to actually make it more personal would be gloves.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, something that's just because we look at our hands more than we look at our face. Yes, most of us spend more time of grooming our face than we actually look after our hands.
That's great. It's an interesting thing because we think that it's the face because that's what we stare at in the mirror.
Others look at our face, but for us to feel good about us and to bring a little bit more confidence in us, our hands and our feet is something that we see more of. So that's why good feet, good shoes, nice hands will make a great impact on our confidence.
So I've read a couple of other articles recently and also have an opinion. So how about blue suit and brown shoes? How do you feel about something like that? Just once again, generically versus somebody trying to prove their style. Yeah,
we're supposed to not do that, but you know what? I think it's really nice. That's my opinion.
Yep.
I think it's very much depending on the cut of the trouser leg, where the hem finishes.
Yes.
And what type of brand shoes we're talking about. Because if it's a brand pair of old suede shoes, and I don't know, pair of trousers that don't actually go together.
Yes.
It hasn't got the congruency again. So you're looking at something that's actually going to work. And I would say about 5-7 years ago, that was high fashion to have suit trousers that were navy and tan rouge shoes on them.
Yeah.
And now, I would say that still could be jeans. If you're looking at the denim jeans, if you're looking at the side seams on jeans, they're normally in a orangey brown thread.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's actually rather nice to have that color on the seam to be added onto your footwear. And that's quite brown, isn't it, really? So it can work.
So I don't have this problem as much. Sometimes I do if I'm having a really busy day or if I'm having a lot of stuff going on or how can we get around? We might not want to go the full Steve Jobs or Pee Wee Herman or, kind of somebody that just only had the same type of uniform suits, black turtleneck or jeans and New Balance shoes. How can we make it so that we know that when we leave the house, we will have our trademark kind of look or feel, and make it easy.
To make it easy, well, how about a watch?
That works.
Yeah.
And then how about I've heard it, and I think you talked about it a little bit. Is capsulized wardrobes?
Yeah.
So is that because that's kind of where I'm trying to figure out? Is it you might not want to have just a white shirt every day, but if you had the same style of shirt that you could go out in, and the same either jeans or suit or however, how do you create things like that?
It's again very personalized. I would say that if we could all work towards keeping a capsule wardrobe and then invest in higher quality items that's going to be best on our body shape and what the finances that we have, so our budget is actually correct with our, that we're not taking out a mortgage or a loan on the clothes that we're purchasing. Work for the best quality that's not going to wear out so quickly, and keep it to a minimum. So I'm working around 41 items is what I would say is all we need in our wardrobe.
Wow.
But this can vary because the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, there is a greater difference between the seasons. So we might need more clothes to actually wrap up when it's colder, and then obviously take something off when it's too hot. But I would say all in all, 41 items is all that we need.
Wow.
And that includes about 6 different type of footwear.
Okay.
And then we're looking at a couple of blazers or something that goes over our tops as such, shirts, blouses, T-shirts, whatever we're going to wear. Mm-hmm. An overcoat to keep us warm and maybe dry. That would be good in certain countries. And we're actually keeping it to our lifestyle more than anything. And we will be washing clothes. We don't need to have 100 odd items and 5 different wardrobes or closets, but we should really have 2. And the reason I'm saying we're having 2 is because our clothes want to be aired. And even if we only got 41 items in our wardrobe, we want to make sure there's lots of space in between so that it keeps fresh for longer. So it's about thinking about the environment, thinking about what's going to last longer and not being thrown away, thinking about the fibers of the items that you are wearing next to your skin, as little plastic as possible. So
yeah, definitely.
When I say plastic, polyester, nylon, it's plastic.
Yes.
And each time that we wash this each time it goes into the laundry, it will break down and will go into the water system. So we need to think about our conscience, really. But why are we wearing what we're wearing? How many items do I actually need? When I wash, what's going to happen? Can I care for these items that I'm wearing? And do they make me feel absolutely brilliant? Do they bring out the best in me? Do I feel like I'm actually me in the way that I am representing the business that I'm in? Mm-hmm. Without jeopardizing my own values, really. But sometimes we have no choice, okay? Don't get me wrong here. We don't have a choice. So, yeah.
Cool. So, Berith, what are your big goals for 2019, 2020, since we're almost halfway through the year?
Oh, I know. We're almost halfway there. Okay, so my goal at the beginning of the year was to write a book.
Okay.
That book is now finished, and I'm just waiting for the final some words to go in there with the foreword from 2 different individuals, and that will be launched, and there will be an author. That's amazing, isn't it? So that was a goal that I've done. Yeah, thank you. It's I had to pinch myself, really. And following on to that, I am looking to create a handbook for how to shop for clothes.
Ooh, that'd definitely be an amazing purchase.
Yeah, so that sort of spurred me on that I know that I can make a book or write a book and have it finished. I know the concept, and so I would say that's my goal, reach more people's awareness, really, of what they're wearing and why, and getting much more focusing much more onto the environmental issues, to be honest, because clothes are one of the greatest polluters in the world. of
Yes,
the
definitely.
production of clothes. So we have to just stop buying as much as we're doing, and we just have to find who we are and dress accordingly.
That's awesome. So how about something that you're reading right now?
What am I reading right now? I am reading, let me see, I'm reading something called Kickstart by Robin Waite, and that's it's actually my business coach. And he has written a book about the 20 secrets to launch a book. So I'm reading that one just to make sure that my book is getting recognized for something. I also just finishing a book that I've been reading for quite some time. It's called The Secret of I Am.
Ooh, okay.
It's superb. I read a page or so and I ponder on it for a while and then I continue reading. It's very powerful. The author is called Joel Osteen. Mm-hmm. I think the book itself is a New York Times bestseller a few times over.
Wow.
I really recommend that one. It's very powerful and it deals with affirmations of I am, what that means.
That's cool. That's very neat. And then how about a piece of tech or something or software or something that's making your life a little bit easier, a little bit more fun?
Oh, making it more easier. Well, again, it's to do with how we're getting in the right frame of mind with our business and how to get hold of the right information. So I'm using something called Typeform.
Yes.
And that I find
Typeform's awesome. It's as a survey tool. It's very interactive.
It's a survey tool, very easy to put onto a website, very easy to pass on the details to prospects, but also MailChimp and Typeform work very well together. So I'm finding that with my business invaluable. Yep,
no, Typeform. We use Typeform a lot. It's a great interactive tool. We're not selling Typeform here, but it's just if you're trying to save time and also get your clients engaged or prospects engaged, it's definitely something that is really good. How can people find out more about you, Berith?
It's probably find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest. Also, I have a website. That is another way, but LinkedIn will lead to my website. I am also very active on Facebook as a group as such because I have a lot of women that I work with, so you can find me again with my name. And I would say that's probably the easiest. I haven't got the easiest name to spell, but it's...
It'll be in the show notes, so everybody will get that.
Exactly. So just find me that way. That's the best way.
Perfect. Okay, and then the last one is your top tips. So if somebody's just now tuned in at the very last of it and they want to say, okay, what's at this? And I want to go back to rewind to the beginning and start over again. What is your number one tip for the listeners on Grow, Sell, and Retire, trying to make them lazy overachievers?
The top tip is to really understand what you want out of life and where you fit into it. And when it comes to my knowledge, to dress accordingly so that you attract the best people in your life.
That's awesome. Berith Sandgren-Clarke, thank you so much for coming on the show. And hopefully we'll hear some more from you. And if you haven't already picked it up, Retire Inspire 1 is out there. My co-author. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, BD. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Grow, Sell, and Retire. For more information, tools, or to book one of our team members to work with your team, business, or to speak at your event or conference, visit bartdaltonconsulting.com or email contact@bartdaltonconsulting.com. Buy the book True Gravity on Amazon. If you want to work for the rest of your life, that is your business. If you don't, that is ours.